I have some experience with. I have some knowledge in QGIS, ArcGIS, and Java, and also a program that is for Mexico, and it's like the digital maps.
Wow, your experience.
Yeah,
Tell us.
I am Debra. I have used the GIS program to make some maps about economical issues. In the past, we did a project where we compared the economic income, and also we did a map where in which we compared the climate change impact on income. So we use this program to make some maps about that.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So you use JS for mainly for map.
Yeah.
Map.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Amanda.
Sandra.
I'm a student of the economy faculty, and I do my project here, and I'm assistant to Deborah and the Dr. Armando. And I really like Shimelis, and I want to learn more.
You tell us about it. You.
I'm working for the Secretaría Técnica. I'm not economic.
But you have any? Are you attending the training?
Yes, but I'm trying to do help you to
Excellent.
manipulate the computer.
Okay, so you have anything to tell us about you? What to do here?
Okay. I'll help you to manipulate the computer. Just only this.
Are you
Yes,
student here or staff?
I'm engineer, but not economist.
Oh, not economist. Me too. I'm engineer. I'm not economist. I start to collaborate with Dr. Armando because once we attended a kind of summer school in Brown University in Coordina. So he's also interested in climate change and economic impact of climate change. That makes us to work together. But then for me, professional and what also engineer. Yeah. So ready now?
Do you want to ask them to the people on Zoom?
There are some.
Yeah, we have 10 people on Zoom. If you want to ask them.
Yeah, just let me introduce some. Maybe call some. With the next guy.
We have Elvira Rodriguez. Elvira, you can hear us?
Yes, I am.
Can you introduce yourself, please? Maybe Sebastian, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hey, can you hear us? They don't hear us. They.
Yes, but
Sebastian
I
says.
think that they don't hear us.
They don't hear us, but we can hear them. But tell them that they can speak what they do.
David, can you
Can
you say that?
write them what tell us what they are doing, who's he, just to know. I mean, which one we are talking.
Dice el doctor Shimelis que si pueden comentar algo acerca de ustedes, a qué se dedican, si han tenido alguna experiencia previa con KISS. O si lo pueden escribir.
Maybe each them, they don't have the mic.
Yeah, everyone.
A ver si te escuchan.
Si pueden presentarse con el doctor Shimelis mencionando cuál es su background, bueno, a qué se dedican, si tienen experiencia con KISS, por favor. Roberto.
Hi, everybody there. I'm Roberto Ramirez. I'm researcher full-time in this institute. I feel very well to stay in this course. I don't have many experience with ArcGIS, but I'm very interested in about teams, spatial analysis and territorial analysis. I would like to learn about the ArcGIS. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. What else, Maria?
Yes,
Okay, I don't have audio, I have not had experience, so then okay. Some of them maybe. Let's say that El Rodriguez who's is
yeah.
the one who speak.
No, she's another
Person.
Yeah.
Okay, so it means that some of them they have experience, some of them don't have experience, so you can have some introduction.
We're going to share the. We're going to share.
Do that? As I don't, okay.
It's okay.
You see that? Yeah. So they will hear my what?
No, you want to
Yeah. What's with you? That's what?
in touch in the right?
Oh, good, yeah.
Yeah.
So what's JS now? We try to see what's JS. What can we do in JS? What do JS professionals do? And how do we also plan using JS for projects? Okay, just simple introduction because everybody has different backgrounds, so we need to have. So if you have something to say, you can also answer from capability of JS. So what's JS? You can tell me.
So,
Your name was again?
Karina.
Huh?
Karina.
Karina, I don't forget. Cassandra?
Yes.
David. Yeah. David, you have said it?
Also, you can use it to make some models.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, you can also, it has model builder, you can create your model, and you can also create some executions. Isn't that? Yeah.
What is, I don't know what is the correct,
Just say something. Yes.
but it's a good program application and
Okay.
it's amazing because it makes us get to map with parties, important and so many parties.
Excellent. So it is JS, as you, Armando, you have nice definitions, just mentioned very well. So it's, it's a combined of hardware and software. So it's software mainly combined spatial mapping and also analysis with database management. When we say that spatial mapping, it's manage features referential to locations and artifacts. Because in GIS work based on your location. Because your location has your own coordinate. I have my own coordinate here. Your own coordinates. All of us have our own coordinates. So GIS to analyze the information, it requires where that data is located. That's how the capability of the GIS, because you have the location and you have more attribute of that. You have one location for this building, for example, in this building, you can add as many things, the height of the building, how many rooms we have in this building, you can add as many information as you can in one location. But a GIS is different from a spreadsheet like Excel. The difference is that this one works based on where that data is located. That's the difference. So in spatial mapping, it's manage features, reference to locations on our surface. So it also has a database store that requires a database to store all attributes, all data in it. So database store and manage information in tabular format. But the table, the database in GIS database, and the database in Excel spreadsheet are different because that doesn't know where the location is. It doesn't require the coordinate. But here, you need to know each point has its own local coordinate information. So, like this attribute is a map. For example, you have here this selected map of like Washington is here, and Montana, and two of this. So under these two polygons, you have as many population 2000, 1990, household, as many information as you can. So it always work allocation map, and it has also a database. It's always working with us. So let's see when you open the GIS file, like you said, if you open it, you have a map, you go to attribute table, you see what that a particular shape file or raster has, especially because usually we store data based on shape files and so on. So that is how the map combined with a database or database system. What can GIS do? What can it can do? A lot of things. One thing that create maps, graphs, and reports. That's the best part of GIS because you can display information. So, for example, you go to like Miami, Mexico City, and you can have some locations of like water supply system. The coordinate of those points, X and Y coordinate. You bring that data into GIS and convert it to a layer. And after that, you can develop a map. Just display for any user that, okay, just being here, anybody cannot go each and every location in Mexico City. It's difficult. So but I can have Mexico City in my hand here. I can see, oh, there's one way here. There's one location here. Or I can just have map of hospitals or health centers in Mexico. So that I collect, I can create a map and it can be accessed by anybody. So everybody can just open the screen and see that, oh, here is my hospital, here is my, and so on. So, in GIS, create maps, graphs, and it also creates and manage map data. You can add also, can create data or map data from the big, like I will show you maybe from Mexico data, the whole Mexico, I can create specific part of areas. I can create another map from a big map. Okay, I can create shape file from like the whole Mexico, one watershed or city, Mexico City, or Cancun, or any cities, or watersheds in hydrology. You know, you can create and manage map data, analyze spatial relationship. That's the capability of, you can analyze spatial relationship between different data, between different locations, attribution. Spatial analysis, spatial correlation is one of the capabilities of GIS that you can apply in real world. You can overlay map data from different sources, for example. You can have several maps. I can have one map, land use map, population map. I can have like road map or power line map, trail line map. I can combine them. I can overlay one over another. That's what we can see, for example. Right? And can after having all in one layer, you can create, you can analyze, you can make some assessment, you can create map or and you can manage and display data or database information. So you can manage, you can store, you can edit, and you can also display that data. So because as I said that you have several information from different locations in the city, and you can just bring that data from spreadsheet and put it into GIS so that you can play around. You can play around here and there. So that's the advantage. You can address to map locations. That's good because if you have an address of buildings, houses, health centers, shops, malls, you can create that into map locations. And also analyze utility and transportation network. Transportation network or utility network, you can also make assessment or analysis of that data. So GIS is very broad, it's very powerful, as you said. very powerful thing. I like your definition, because she didn't define it in technical terms, but GIS is powerful, can do everything. That's it. It's true. Because GIS is really, we are not really using it, honestly. When I see the capability of GIS, we are not using it. Because you can use the power of GIS, especially, is huge. And we are not using a fraction of I just usually use it just for modeling or just open. At least we are for modeling is a good application of GIS because you use georeference, you use spatial analysis tool, and a lot of those extensions for modeling. But other than that, many people they just use just to see the map. That's it. But the GIS is a very powerful machine. It's a very powerful system for several applications. What do GIS professionals do? Like you guys, if you are skilled in GIS, I mean, you have also plenty of job opportunities all over the world in the US. Because there are many, I saw in my company, there are a lot of staffs working on GIS, working on maps and databases, using the GIS database, the different GIS database, managing GIS database. And I know hundreds of people. So what do? So the primary data providers, for example, surveying, photogrammetry, field data collection, database development, sensor. But GIS is nothing that without data. Yeah. If you open ArcGIS, it's nothing. It's tool, but it works on data. Because how do you get those data? How do you get those data? Eh?
From
So how do they get that data? How do they get it? They have data, but how do they get data? How do you create data, GIS data? What is the source of the GIS data? The source.
he has a survey. They use satellite image and then they create a lot of kind of maps and they put them into its web page and we can download that data.
Yeah, that's good. So, but there might be source of data. There are a lot of what not mentioned here. There's different ways of getting GIS data. But one way is just surveying, as you mentioned. Surveying is one way of data. Because by doing surveying, you can have, for each point, you can have location coordinate system, X and Y coordinate system, even without using GPS. And nowadays, you have GPS, you can go and just take the location and put as many information as possible. Photogrammetry is also another source of data. So you can just, if you have some photographs, there are some devices you can see, and you can translate your aerial photo into real-time data. You can create data out of it. Field data collection. So now, how do you do field data? You take your GPS, you go somewhere. Like for example, if you would like to study that for health, it can be for health, for economics, data assessment. So you take a GPS and you go somewhere, just take electronically, or you write your coordinate system. So under that coordinate system, you saw description of the area. What's that location? That is so you can take it in GPS locations, and now in the previous time we used to write it and we go home, we type the coordinate, and now you can also easily save it to the location on your GPS, even your phone. And even your phone now, you create a map and save that location. And later you can just connect your computer and download everything. So that way, also data how you collect field data. Data using, you can collect data using field data collection. The other one, database development, because you can have database of like planning or from other organizations. You can also access several data from one database or the existing database. Remote sensing also is great. So data. It's remote sensing, like aerial photo is something to photogrammetry also part of it, but remote sensing using like radar data or satellite data, you can also create as many as GIS from and just translate that.
Question about the remote sensing. Could you say, for example, when you want to see how much is the how much cover of the forest have?
How much?
For example, you use the remote sensing in order to see the vegetal cover of an area.
Exactly, because remote sensing, for example, you need to see like the land use change, the land use change dynamics here in Mexico. So you have like the aerial photo of 2000, maybe you have aerial photo of 2010, and also aerial photo of 2020, and you can easily evaluate the vegetation dynamics or the land use change. For example, urbanization. People are growing, population is growing, or people are coming to the cities and from other places. And so you can see the changes in land use. In many places, for when they increase the industry and also population grows, they also cutting trees and for construction and for other purposes. So like the forest coverage may be reduced in 10 years, in 10, 20 years. That way, the best way or easy way of making such assessment is using remote sensing. So what do GIS professionals do? If you're a GIS professional, there are a lot of possibilities. There are a lot of opportunities. So application of GIS, for example, you can use GIS for analyzing data for making decisions in marketing, on business, in defense and intelligence, or for government, like for natural resources. Because, for example, if you like to see the land use dynamics, as you see. So that way, GIS is one tool to be applied for that application. For public safety, for urban planning, and transportation, utilities and communication. All these are GIS, some of GIS applications. Because you can use the GIS data for making decisions in business, for example. Can assess the trends, especially for security, for defense and intelligence. For example, if you open map, if you say like, what is the most highly crime area in Mexico? You can see the map. And get it out. There is a bad place, don't go. So you can make a decision for visitors, for security, for police preventions. So
For another earthquake. When earthquake. 27. Works
That's good. Yeah. That's beautiful. Do you have any remember?
I don't have it. Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Well, what the GIS professional do also for development of GIS, and also for hardware development and testing, and also for software development or custom applications programming, for example, you can use it in GIS. GIS professionals also can use the skill programming for software development and also for even for hardware development. So also for distributed databases, for example, you can be managing internet servers, sorting spatial data, developing a network solution and protocol for sharing data. You can use for managing libraries of GIS data in multiple locations. This is the best way of GIS professionals can do, especially using the distributed database. Many, because each company now has database. You know? So maybe if you can show me that data, so then we download some data, maybe because there are some GIS professionals, they use their skill to create those databases. That's why it's easy for us, for you, me, and go and download. So there's people behind that creator. So there are two group of GIS, project GIS and enterprise GIS. For project GIS, you can focus on solving specific problems. For example, you like to understand the population grows in Mexico City, or the water supply in Mexico City, utility in Mexico City, and so on. So focus on a specific problem. Can data collected and analyzed for a specific purpose because you have specific project, individual or small group of users, and typically has a beginning and end. It's a project. Yeah, always project has you start and you finish it. Yeah, there's no lifetime project. Enterprise GIS, for example, for huge companies, large-scale companies, government, states, they provide data for ongoing operations, like we get data from them. Data used for many purposes. Serves large organizations or multiple organizations. The data continually collected and updated. It is like good planning data, so they always collect, generate data, analyze data, and they store it. So they don't, there's no end date for that. Every year, every time they manage to update the data. So that's the characteristic of environmental GIS. But for project GIS, just for a specific purpose, that okay, we need to build some water supply system here around now. So we need to see how the land use looks like topography and so on. In that case, we have a specific project. Yeah. So planning a GIS project, because when you in GIS, you have to also plan what you want to do. Yeah. So you have to have your own, develop your plan. If you like to do it, for example, identify project needs. What do we need? Well, what's the purpose of that project? Based on that, okay, produce suitable model. Okay, I can create what approach for that specific project. So in fact, you can also identify additional project needs, and you acquire data for a specific project because you already identified your project, and you need to look for data for that particular project. Okay, you perform analysis, and also you present results. Again, there are also some activities. For example, you can also evaluate data, you can also correct data. Also, if needed, you can also obtain more data, because after having your data in your desk, you can evaluate them. Like, so that data is enough for me for a particular project that I identified based on the need of the project. So I can also obtain data and create data, evaluate the data what I have, and also add additional data. After all, in each and every step, we can evaluate our result. So that's why based on the result, you can make decisions. Oh, okay, our assessment will require some additional input. So we can decide to have additional information, additional data, additional databases for the execution of your project. Good. So I just set up for capability of GIS for weather, environment, or public health. GIS, you can use GIS for a lot of applications. For example, you can help to understand the water supply and health service coverage analysis. You know, having the data and the water distribution system in Mexico, for example, you can say that, okay, which area of Mexico is lacking water? I know that there are some places that don't have water here. Some places they have. So you can use GIS and just try to correlate GIS water, lack of water in health, for example. Is there any health-related issue with lack of water? And you can have that too. So this is GIS great. You can apply for specific purpose. You can to review health facilities, access to water resources, identifying gaps, and develop future intervention plan. You know, that can be also one of the GIS capability. You can use it, or especially for health, public health applications. Identify health facilities, access to potable water supply sources, or understand the spatial correlation between disease and unemployment, poor population, livelihood growth. Maybe Carolina, maybe that Karina, maybe you might have used this type of things for your assessment, like the spatial correlation between disease and unemployment, poor population, livelihood, or settlement. Told me that you're doing some data, some kind of assessment. That's great. So you can now also combine all that information that you can say that you can use GIS tool to find those kind of things, you know. So that's, I would like to say, that's one capability of GIS and applications of GIS. Another one, like monitoring naturally occurring contaminants in public drinking water, for example. There are sources of contaminants. So you can have that will be a great way of GIS for such applications, okay? You can also develop GIS data models to determine like arsenic or arsenic contamination, as well as where to focus intervention and campaigns. That's one way. Examine relationship between arsenic levels in waters and various cancers, you know. So GIS can give you this capabilities, you know. So it's paper here. Okay, so you can also do that. The relationship between some GIS analysis mapping. I think this is also like some we use GIS, for example, for mapping of some disease prevalence, analyze proximity of environmental hazard to schools. You can make some how some hazards affecting close to schools. Examine the geographic distributions of important load, lead poisoning risk factors, and prioritizing lead poisoning prevention. These are some of them related to public health. But the GIS application, these are actually, this was the slides I prepared for one of my students for public health students. So that's why there's more focus for health related. But you can use for as many applications. You know, you can use it as many things as you can. Yeah, I have another one. So that's it, GIS. You know, some of you already know about some of the capabilities, but I would like to include this introductory for some people. And, so GIS is a tool. It's a very capable tool. So we need also to see what are the available GIS data and how do we use them, and for mapping and also. Okay. I thought for how long you do the training?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's okay. Very good. So let me what's that? Do you have any questions from online?
They say that they can hear you very well. I don't know if it is the. Some of them, they have experience and others not.
Some of them they have.
But
No, some of them they have experience. Some of them.
yes.
Okay, that's why I'm trying to give you some introductory. Or so for someone that doesn't know, that's why I have some lectures that we can have come together. Okay, that's good also to kind of to know the concept of geography. For example, what's the GIS data? What type of the forms of GIS data? Do you know that? GIS data. Concepts, GIS concepts, like so called GIS data, representing the world as a map. Now we have Mexico, it is a big country, it's a big, but we represent that reality. Things from here downtown, maybe in an hour. But thanks to GIS, that we can have Mexico City in a map. This was the scale. Just here, you can see the city here. So we represent the real world as a map. You can see Mexico there. And in reality, we can, yeah. That's it, how the compound, how the JS. So represent the world as a map. So how map portrays the world. Imagine this map. So you have point features. Maybe these locations are like schools. Okay, can be schools. So in JS we have layer only for just represent points. We have also line features. Matters of line features. Yes, it can be streets, can be power line, it can be sewage line, it can be train line, you know. So, subway, excellent.
Territorial.
Yes, so everything you can represent on a map in lines. So I cannot show like buildings in line, yeah? Yeah, because that's we can show them in the point feature. But for line feature, for road, it's line feature. Or rail lines, subway, or power lines, utility line, water supply utility line. That I can show that in the hand, as line feature. Polygon features. Exactly. Yeah. It can be park, you can represent in a polygon. It can be
macro scale,
that's it. Depending on the scale, you actually right. Because I can also, like if I show you US state, that each polygon state. But here, like at large scale, like it's just some small parcel of area. Okay. That I can have like parks, which is like the pond, sewage disposal pond, or like stadium. If you have stadium, you can show that polygon feature. Also, some annotations feature like some. If you have some garden, you can this, or if you have some stadium or church, I can note that that's and there are special known features. So I can use some annotations for that. So that's how we portray things in a map. So, like for you can use a generalization. This is just you can use Google Earth. Tells you where is that, and like in the master, for example, especially for computation. And if this is the same, exactly the same, but it tells you some error shows. So generalization in scale, she mentioned already, Karina. Scale is very important, JS, because to see the whole Mexico, you should have small scale because you cannot show that in a map. So you have to use small scale. But maybe if you like to see on our campus, you should see that large scale. So scale is the ratio of size on the ground to size on the map. For example, I can say 1 kilometer in reality can represent 1 meter on a map. That means that means I created a scale of 1 to maybe 1,000 meters. Because I'm representing. Or if it is too large scale, I can say that no, only 500 meter. 500 meter represent 1 meter. So it means the scale will be 1 to 500. It's getting more, you can see a lot of things. But if I see that, okay, 100 meter on the ground represent 1 meter in the map, or 1 centimeter in the map. So it means that our ratio will be 1/100. So the more the denominator is low, the larger the scale is. Yeah. So this is, for example, 1 to 24,000. It means maybe 1 centimeter in a map 24,000 meters in the ground. So 24,000 meters in the ground. Look the bottom one, it's US. It's 1 to 50,000. So scale is the ratio of the size of the ground, the size of the map. Or scale influences the generalization of features. So because the larger the scale, the more information you get. The more information you get. Like for example, this is what you see. What do I see here? I don't see. Okay, I see Florida, but I don't know what happens to what is the county. It's just generalized. So I can just locate some point, like for example, here, in this situation, maybe Miami, maybe Miami can be seen as a point. Yeah. Such a very small scale map. You cannot tell many things. Like DC, maybe it's a point. You cannot say it, but the more the scale is getting bigger, you can see like this, more information. So scale influences the generalization of the feature. So polygons at one scale, maybe point or lines at a different scale, the way you show, as you mentioned it before. For example, now I say that like Mexico City in the world map is a point. Yeah, you may not even see it. You may disappear. Mexico. In the world map, you can see Mexico. You cannot maybe see Mexico City. Even you see Mexico City. If the whole Mexico, maybe, I don't know, it's more polygon for a point. So this is just a small scale map, and this is intermediate scale map. It's a large scale map. Large scale map, as you can see, all data. Here you have the bar, you have the park, sewage pond, you have the lake or some lagoon here. You can have everything. So the degree of the information, you display to the degree of the information you display to the reader depends upon the scale. The small scale, you see nothing. Only just so where is Florida is, maybe New Mexico is, or where is that's it. Yeah. So scale has a very huge factor. GIS data models. I don't go detail. Vector and raster for television. There are GIS data models. How do you define them?
That's what the vector model. We can find all about geometry, like points and lines, polygons, and the raster model, and we can find all about images.
Image and pixel set.
And the pixel the linear scale, and it's unit.
Yeah, was one like this, but this is exactly a good example of raster.
And the
Yes.
difference between the set, the location. The location, because we can find two pixels with the same color, with the same data, but the difference is the location.
Exactly. So these are good to understand how the different data models change, because that's how you store the data. How you use the purpose for, like, if you use for mapping, and you cannot use like raster data for mapping. It's not more convenient. Here more, as you said, more depend on points, lines, and polygons. This one, so that, like for storage, even that in one vector data, in one like shapefile, you can store as many information as. But in this one, maybe you have unique information for this particular data. for a particular purpose. So, vector model features like stored as series of XY coordinate, rectangular coordinate system. So you depend on it. So each point in the ground has specific information that's X and Y direction. So feature can have one of three geometric type: point, lines, or polygon by relation. So you have data like pointers, because in vector data, each location is represented by a point. But when you connect each point, because the background of the vector data is the point. That's it. That's the background. We store our vector data per point. Each point has its particular information. So when you connect these two lines, what do you get? What do you get? When you connect the points, we create lines. Okay. So these are in the start and end nodes. But in between, there are a lot of points so that you can connect them. So polygons, again, when you connect each lines and close them, it's great, become one polygon. So even lines is a set of points, and polygons are a set of lines. Yeah, you might have point and lines. All right. So that's in the vector data. For features and attributes, it's very important for us information, features and functions. So each feature is linked to an entry in a data table containing information about the feature, which is called its attribute. We have this map. Yeah. So the map is nothing, but each polygon now is connected to we have attribute. So that's why when you open this polygon and you open the attribute table, so that you can see a set of each polygon has a lot of information, like the population 99, population 2000, maybe the household salary, or number of kids, age limit per age. Imagine in one polygon, I can have as many columns as the database can able to restore. So that's how you connect features and features here and attribute here. So if we open each file or each line, shapefile, we see the same thing. By click, open attribute table, you see all this, we'll see it. So that you can again, you can also display each attribute in a separate table. I have that one state connected to attribute table. Each attribute table. Based on each attribute table, I can have several map. Like I can map the population of 1000. I can map population of 1990, population density, the density of the population. So a feature class is, as I said earlier, the collection of similar objects with the same attribute stored at a single unit. That's how it shows. Like a state feature class, you have a lot of attributes. For example, river feature class can have distinct attributes, and point feature class, for example, this is for capital city, it can be for capital city. You have different attributes. For a similar feature, you can have separate attributes. But this is like use the whole new state. Game for state. These rivers, for example, polygons, river feature class, again for a lot of attributes. This, for example, capital city of each state. I can have several attributes. That's how you do, guys. So this data stored as special features with a table, usually associated attribute for each feature. Each feature has. So you can also create this data by yourself. For that. This is, you can add, join, and or relate features. You can add data. You can add. I can just import from Excel file or Access file. I can attach to the attribute table, existing attribute table, or I can also create my own attribute table. Because the GIS map with its features without attribute, without set of data is nothing. It's just a box. So that's why this one, if it doesn't have attribute data, what is it? It's nothing. You cannot do anything. If it doesn't have connected to this one. If you have just have you seen sometimes here you have map, but only just some. There's no further details. No. So in GIS data features, each feature is connected to attribute, which is connected to data system. GIS is not data based on relational data, but we'll see that we have time in the future. Because of features must share the same table, also all must have the same attribute. In addition, feature class may contain only one type of geometry. It can be as a point, it can be as a lines, it can be polygon. This is the uniqueness of vector data, the vector information, because you cannot have in one feature was polygon, lines, and point. The more yesterday when we open, we have the watershed, layer map. Again, there was location point. There's different another layer. Again, we open another river layer. Remember? So that's, I don't know, I can show them. Those are my GIS. You don't have the one yesterday, the one of yesterday?
Yes. We have to share the screen because people on the
Okay,
Zoom.
did you close those data yesterday? Was here? Desktop? What you saw yesterday data?
Can you open the folder connection? On
Sorry? Oh. What should I do?
Yes.
Okay. No, this is what I did.
yes, okay. We have the
Some point.
the rivers is tributary.
Okay, that's a good example, yeah.
Yeah. That one is Lerma.
Yeah,
Watershed.
can you so you can, as you can see, like for example, because we cannot store all features together in vector data representation. Okay, that I would like to show. So this, for example, there were subbasins in Lerma watershed.
Yes.
Okay, so like I would like to show some wells example. like well, I don't know what that. If I click this one, I have point data. Okay. And what is next? For example, if I need tributary rivers, this is our tributary rivers. Okay. So this is what is this one? It's polyline. If I come here, ask, can you see this open attribute table? So if I open this one, I have as many data here. That's what I would like to say. So what each point look like, there's a name, but maybe it's in Spanish, I don't know. So you can have as many as data for each one. Okay. So that's how it is. This is to show you that we have different features. Polygon feature, point feature, and line feature. So this is the river one, but the river tributary is line feature. And this one point, I don't know what that, maybe the point feature, maybe they're groundwater waves, maybe. They're groundwater waves. And so yes, we can add as many as informational overlay on this. Yeah. You have question? Clear? All right. I think for Coordina it's easy. She knows it. And the others will also know it. Yeah, that's good to it's a refreshment.
Yes.
Because usually we know it, but we don't know the basics behind how we are still using it, but it's to more structured way of understanding the concept.
Also, Pedro Martin from Zoom says the cartographic generalization is important to avoid overload the map, just to make it clear that he said.
Yeah, for scale, yeah. When you
Yeah.
generalize the map, it's a really an important factor. For that, determine your data, how you determine the degree of level of information you have. Actually, in one map, you can have data as several with several set of scales. For example, you have one map, like in 1 to 50,000. But when you again zoom in, again you increase the scale, yeah. It was a map of US, for example. Now, if I have it, it was still 1 to 50,000. But again, if for display on screen, I can also see that. For example, if I just go and zoom in around Florida, I have more data. That means the scale is getting bigger. Like maybe from 1 to 50,000, maybe it came to 1 to 55,000. But when you create a map, you cannot display everything in one map. One map only contains one scale. Yeah. But in shapefile, in JS format, you can see the details of your feature depending upon the scale. So you can see the whole Mexico. Again, I can increase the scale of only this Mexico state. Mexico state, I can see I have more information in that case. So it means I have larger scale. But in print, in the map, if you develop a map that for a print purpose, you create only one, and you can have one scale, you can display everything. So there are vector data models. When specifically you have geo-relational model where features and attributes stored separately. Okay, in the data model. Again, this also can be linked by common feature ID because each open like JS file have ID and feature type and so on. So it can be linked by common feature ID. And it's the original model for older JS system. This type of way of data storage was the previous one. Now we have object-oriented model. Okay. Object-oriented model, mainly the features and attributes are stored as a single box, especially the one what we are using. You know, it is based on our object-oriented model.
The object-oriented model type of
Excellent. That's a good question. You know, this is mainly how do we store data in vector data model, like the one I showed you, the shapefiles, lines, and polygons. They are based on vector data models, point lines and polygons. So previously, we used to have this geo-relational model where that we can feature in attributes, for example, stored differently. So they are stored differently. You have a feature of like US, but we do have attributes. So you store. But in recent, it's a kind of object-oriented, the kind of database management system. I have another chapter only for that, but we don't have time. I wish I can do it, but it's a lot of big size. There are object-oriented model, relational models, there are a couple of SQL, and a couple of other types. So in this case, the one that's similar to what we are using now. So features and attributes are stored as a single, as we did now. And it reduces overhead in matching feature to attribute. Also, it's simpler and help maintain data integrity.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. That's what I like that. I like this one. I know even people that don't use that for us.
I want to create a map for airports. Airports, it's like I think it's like a points, but the object-oriented model is like all the airports is just a single unit.
No, they are different. Now we are not talking about maps now. We are talking about how we store our data. You know, it's a data storage issue now. Because when we do a map is just for display, different map. But to create a map, you need features data stored in a certain way. Like we are talking about vector data models. Vector data models have their own way of storage. For example, when I open the other one, their map, there's a feature, their ownership. But again, attribute data, that's for how the vector data model was mean. The one you saw, the data model, I show you mainly more correlative object-oriented model. Okay? And previously, we're doing this one. Now we are not that much. Like they store separate. This is kind of how do you store your data? Because primarily we use vector data model for storage. Now we'll see in the next slide. When we see the application, we use vector data more for storage because we have more capability of storing features again with a lot of attribute data connected to feature ID and also for a lot of attributes connected to the points. So that's the kind of we're telling about how we store the data. And mapping, for example, when we open one attribute table, we have a lot of things. So in that case, we only use one attribute or one specific feature for mapping in one map, but I can overlay as many features on it, as I showed it before. But since I stored one polygons stored one database that has a lot of attributes. Yeah. But even in mapping, I can't show all attributes in one map. But I can add it layer by layer. Yeah. That's how that we do. Because like what's the example you show me? You like to show like some, like if we have this boundary, we have the feature, and under that we have like locations of classrooms. That is point line. Maybe walkways. That is like polylines feature. Again, I have a couple of polylines, for example, like what are the drainage system is in Una. Drainage is another polyline. So all are stored in one feature. Okay, as polyline, as point, and as polygon. So when we do a mapping, so when we develop the map, because in the next maybe I think lecture I have up to mapping, so that in that situation there is a way that you can display first the major feature point, and again in one feature point I can have even add another polyline, even another polygons, for example. I have like layer map and one worksheet in polygons, yeah. I can also can add another polygon in it, like water bodies. Only water bodies, lakes and small ponds. They're polygons, but I can put it as a layer. Because when you create some, I don't know if you have time, map, that you create another one with different frames, so that you can divide also your maps depending upon, because you cannot put a lot of things in one map. So that's why map have limitations, especially print map have limitations. You can have everything there. You can have everything. So I don't know if I answered your questions. Advantage of vectors, like it's precise location of features. That's because it starts from the location for the point feature. So precise location of feature. You can store as many attributes. That's the advantage. I was mentioning this before. That's the advantage of vector. Because mainly you use vector data model for storage. Because in one feature you can have as many columns as the one I showed you. One for US, you have a lot of columns. Each column has unique information, like I say, population 220, 1919, population 2000, 2010, 2020, and population density for like per race, how many black, how many white, how many, you can have like income level, salary, average salary, health facilities. So in one feature, you can have as many attributes as you can. It's for flexible, for cartography, for mapping, advantage, and it's compact storage of information. It's more ideally suited for certain type of analysis, especially for areas, lengths, and connections. These are some. Storing surfaces, like that can be contour, it's part raster, or team magnetic. And so this is just how to store a system. It's triangular, regular network. This elevation, this raster. She mentioned, I think I have also a topic for an answer. So digital elevation model. It is mainly we are talking about raster data model. Raster, she defined it very well. DM has cells of a pixel, each of which contains single elevation. This nice representation of raster. This one. But each one has one data. It's exactly this is how we use to raster data per pixel, not by pointing lines. So look, if each pixel has unique elevation data, like which is this digital elevation model is a good example of raster data. Because each pixel has a unique single elevation. So regularly spaced array of elevation values. So this usually used regular raster data for analysis. Because you do like in the modeling, you use the raster data because the model calculates based on each cells, each raster cell. So that's how it is. The raster data model contains columns, lines, the coordinate in XY direction. So it's a raster data file is usually n rows by m columns. And by the way, are you reading the chart? I don't know what they're writing. I got a reading, sorry.
Well, Pedro also says that this then raster is like your log because you are going up the change, well, the value change. I don't know if it is about the temperature or something.
So each cell raster
Yeah.
can have a unique. That's possible too. That's good. So XY locations, each georeference to Earth surface. So even if you have raster, you have to georeference the whole polygon, the whole structure. So after that, you have the whole data has georeference to certain data. But each pixel has its own data, its own elevation or data. Continuous data, raster is the best way to store continuously changing values such as elevation or distance. That's the advantage of raster data. We have seen before the vector data, yeah? You see the trend now? We're talking about vector. Now we are talking about raster. So raster is the best way to store continuously changing values such as elevation or distance. Analysis faster and more flexible than vectors for many applications. As for some analysis only possible using rasters. I would say many analysis because in special, if you do a special analysis, usually work based on raster time. Because work is on. So for example, if I have elevation data, raster, again, land use data in the raster, or soil data in raster, and weather data in raster. So each pixel has several unique information. And that for hydrology, for me, that's how I do, because I have some equations. So I first overlay all raster information per pixel. After that, I calculate each process within each pixel. Within each pixel. That's how sometimes it takes more computation time for model simulations, because in raster analysis, it computes things for each cell. So that depends on your resolution. In raster, there's quality resolution. For example, you can have, DEM. Have you used DEM? The elevation model, the one I showed you?
So has from them.
You have one there.
Yeah, well, he has the Mexico then. We show digital elevation model.
Yeah. So it has different extent. So, like recently I got one DM from Florida. One was a ship. This is 4 foot by 4 feet, which is 4 foot. 4 foot. How do you do that? 4 times 0.33. Almost 1 meter by 1 meter. Raster. It's good, yeah, 1 meter. That means 1 meter means this one is 1 meter by 1 meter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is 30 centimeters right there. So,
Like 2 squares and something.
no, this one is, yeah, this is 1 meter. 1 meter is from this one to this one. So it means that you have data, elevation data for each. So even this room has how many data? This room. It means they have the same elevation, but I don't know. 20. The high resolution, I have those data for my model. But now we have also like DM from SRTM source freely available. You can go and download 30 meter by 30 meter now. Digital elevation model. I remember we have 100 by 100. Still good. It's good. 30 meter by 30 meters is still good because almost this campus has almost the same elevation. Yeah.
The one that has IIEc is about the resolution is 15 meters plus 15 meters. So
Okay. So that's discrete raster. Discrete raster is the special store features that not in the raster form. That have relatively few values that change abruptly from one card to another. Say, for example, land use. You have raster and land use, but also when the raster in polylines, it has to have different way of representation. When it's land use and when it's polyline, it's lines, of course. This is land use. So that's what we go back to. So we have discrete view for a particular raster. Continuous raster is store surfaces or field of variables that change continuously over space. Like digital elevation mode is continuous raster. So there are two types of discrete and continuous raster. So it has many potential values. So sometimes adjacent cells rarely share the same value because this one and this one have different information, even adjacent cells. Maybe it's not common like land use, for example. And land use, you cannot do that. This can be one land use. This is the whole area, maybe forest. So it's a kind of discrete. Here, it's continuous, but each cell, each pixel can have different data. Scanned image also. It's also raster when you scan an image, so you be scanned as raster. As JPG also paper maps recorded on the scanner for raster. This is also scanned using topo map or digital raster graphic or this one. Scan. So when you also scan maps, you store it as raster data. Raster. Picture files and any map picture file could potentially be used as GIS data source. So that's also the picture. If any picture must be geo-referenced or registered to a known coordinate system before using any GIS. Because anything you put in GIS should be geo-referenced. You cannot just put in the Mexico map without knowing the exact, without storing the exact coordinate system. Because we have GIS coordinate system for Mexico, for US, for Florida, for 2 states. There are also different way of coordinate system, maybe projected coordinate system or geographic coordinate system. So the data without geo-referenced is meaningless. Yeah. This is my location now. Always you can when you tell about XY direction of my location, how do you define it? My coordinate. I should be a reference point. There must be a datum here. because each location there are some universally accepted representation of geographic features. Yeah? So when I tell XY direction of our location, because I'm from where, example, I'm here, I'm 6 meters from that wall. Yeah. And in this direction, maybe this is assumed 6. So Shimelis here, I'm from here to 6 meters. I'm 6 meters from here. I'm also, this is maybe assumed this Y direction. I'm maybe this one for 3 meters from here. So my location now in XY direction, if you tell me 6 to 4, 6 to 3, because I am 6 meters from that wall and 3 meters from this wall. But if I tell to that for somebody, can she understand where I am?
More information about if you are in the north or
Because
south.
if somebody tell me, Shimelis is now here in this room, is 6 meters away from the other wall, from the glass window, and 3 meters from the gate, from the entrance door, that gives sense? No, but coordinate system usually have from a certain data reference, like I am from this, because there are some XY system, or in latitude and longitudinal system. I have that chapter, I don't know if I have time, because there's different way of, in geographic coordinate system, we have latitude, I have like 20 degree from equator and 30 degree from this one. That's how we do, because there are some reference point. There are equators, and there are mercantile, or there are some concept of coordinate system. So I cannot tell your location. If I say what's your location, as means your location always tells from a certain point of reference. That's why you have to georeference your maps based on the coordinate system. Like for example, digital elevation model. What does digital elevation model? How do you, from where? Like if it is, for example, what's the elevation of this place? Elevation maybe. Do you know what's the elevation of Mexico here?
2000 meters from the sea.
Okay. For elevation, what do we have now? From where? We have reference. We have reference, you know. Otherwise, we measure from the ocean level, sea level. Because we have reference now. When you tell about elevation, our reference not from X or Y, from both. That's why it's meaningful to say that, well, okay, what's the elevation of that classroom? If I say 1,000, 1,000 what? From where? Yeah. From where? 1,000 from the sea level. Because our sea levels, we assume that in the sea we have 0 level, up 0. Yeah. So we assume that all sea, the level of sea is connected in one level, they are the same. But unless they cannot do water like this unless the sea will move in this way. The reason why we see the sea just standing is because that weather, like Gulf of Mexico or Atlantic, it's all the oceans are connected on the same elevation. That's why we always say that about sea level. That we have constant sea level. That's the same is true for coordinate system. When I tell about Karina's location, I can tell from a certain reference point that when she's. So any map, even if we have we scan a map we scan a photo, we only just some points to correlate. For example, if I see that maybe this QS, okay, maybe if I know the QS location, and I need another one, maybe somewhere another location. So based on the 2 or 3, I can even if I scan a map here, but I can put it in the right coordinate system. But to do that, I need some known points. Yeah, known benchmark. So I don't like to go to more detail. But this is my slides I teach my first students, master students. So, I'm not saying those are the two need more time. More time. This is just one chapter. So a value raster, the picture raster. This just to show you what the difference between auto resolution, impact resolution, very good. This is 90-meter resolution and 10-meter resolution. And you see that's how 90-meter resolution, like it's much for the line. It's blurry. Cannot have many information as such. Look at this one, this clear line. 10-meter resolution. So storage space increase by the square of the resolution. The more high resolution you have, the more storage data you need. Because instead of representing this all in one data, assume if I have data for each square, how many data I have now? No. If I assume that this one and 1 pixel, how many data you have? 1, yeah? Okay, if you assume each data, each square as unique pixel, how many data I have now? 9. So it means I have 9 data. I can have 9 data of the same information. So the higher the resolution you have, the more data you have. The more storage space required. Oh. Large area has higher precision. Storage of attributes. Roads may have another attributes, ownership, number of lanes, or would need a new raster for each attribute. So only numeric attributes may be stored in a raster. So raster contains one value, getting a single attribute such as a road type. This is like this road. Again, if I need to have a road layer per speed limit or per number of lanes, we have another raster for each layer of raster.
For example, if you have a layer of roads, all that information about the names, speed limit, number of lanes are in one layer.
One layer, you cannot show.
When you transform.
No, for example, if I can create one raster map per speed limit. So it means I can see that the green has like 60 kilometers per hour. The blue one maybe 80 kilometers per hour and so on. But you can have unique raster for each, for maybe speed limit or number of lanes. For example, green one has maybe 2 lanes, or this one maybe 3 lanes, or this one maybe 4 lane road. I see in Florida and sometimes 5 or 6 lanes road. In the US in some places 6 lanes. You don't have it here?
I think the biggest is like 4 lines.
Okay.
No more.
Yeah, in some places I see in the US. Right. Yeah, basis. Raster has functions. You can density function, you can have distance function, interpolation you can do. You can create a buffer, for example. You have, like, for example, if you have a road, I can create a kind of buffer that the houses cannot be constructed maybe 20 meters away from the road. So you can create a kind of buffer using raster. So in the raster analysis, you have all these the density features, distance features, least cost paths, for example, which you would like to have the shortest, like if you are required to build, for example, pipeline from here to Mexico City, So combining different rasters, you can create a kind of best economical least cost path. You know, for example, maybe this Mexico downtown. Here we are here. Maybe bring it from here to here, sure. But we don't know that if we do it here, there are some other factors, for example, topographic factor. Maybe this is some part of our maybe residential areas, you cannot, you know, remove people. Maybe these areas, or maybe some parks, maybe heritage areas, you know, natural areas. So you have to find a way that you have several layers combining and find the best cost-effective and environmental friendly and more appropriate lines instead of it looks shorter here, but that's not more economical maybe. So you created something in this way. So just you all these capabilities in the raster data. Raster at this type of wow, coordinate systems. You want it? Actually, I already said it, some of the concepts here. We will not touch this one today because I like it, but it's very important because as a GIS professional, you need to know the coordinate system, how to determine coordinate system. How do you convert from geographic coordinate system and project coordinate system? Geographic is just mainly most of the data are stored at geographic coordinate system. Yeah? Because most of them was latitude and longitude. But when you do some analysis, you have to convert because as the whole global data or the whole Mexico may be stored as geographic coordinate system. When you do some specific applications, you have to have some kind of convert to like projected coordinate system that you have in X and in XY direction, in XY coordinate system. That's easy for computation, for processing and so on. So we'll take a break. And so I'll show you that maybe how to mapping. Sure. Maybe we have tomorrow too, yeah?
Yes.
Maybe tomorrow we will play only around chess. Do you have any question? Can I have water?
Okay. speak louder in order the people that
Okay,
hear us.
what should I speak?
Louder.
Maybe. Ask them, do you have any question? Are they okay with the previous lesson? Say they learn something. Ask them. They're okay, do you have any question?
Doctor Shimelis, well, in Spanish I want to say it. Dice el doctor Shimelis que si tienen alguna duda o todo va bien hasta aquí. Los comentarios en inglés, por favor.
Yeah, you can also speak Spanish, but you will tell me. If they have, if not. Or if they have question later, they can ask.
I'm going to ask them if they have questions and they write.
Excellent. So now what did you learn today? I'll try to show you that what in the morning of the previous session, we learned about what GIS is, what GIS capability we have, what do we do as GIS professionals, what's our role, what can we do, what are the different GIS applications. That was really part of the lecture this morning. The second part we did as different GIS data. What kind of GIS data? How do we store data? There are vector data model, raster data model. What are the advantages of each, vector data model? How do we represent vector data model? How do we represent raster data model? What are the advantages of the two? For example, raster is more for storage of larger data. No, sorry, vector data model is mainly for storage of large data because we have feature where we can save as many attribute data as possible. But raster data is more unique and the pixel based, especially we mainly use that raster data model for computation, for analysis of data, for overlaying of data, for distance, for some applications of GIS. Now, how do we present GIS data on a map? That's it. How do we now we learned about the GIS, we learned about the data type, and how do we present those data? So presenting GIS data. So this basic principle of map design, choosing symbols, choosing coordinate system. Basic principle of map design. So map design process determines the objective of the map. Decides on the data layer, plan a layout, and choose colors and symbols, and create the map. So that's the plan. As a GIS map developer, we have to determine the objective of the map. Why do we do the map? You have to know. Is that for your kids? Is that for your parents? Is that for your public? Is that why you do the map? You need to have the objective. And you have to decide on the data layer to be included. What so? To build. For example, if I need to see the watershed of Lerma watershed, so what layers I need? That yesterday we found, for example, the watershed boundary, the tributary rivers, or maybe groundwater locations, and as many as so we have to decide what layer we have. Okay, what layers, number of layers, number of data layers we need. Plan a layout. You have to also plan a layout. What type of layout I need to have? Like just put my map like landscape or portrait. It depends upon the scale sometimes. For example, can you put US map in landscape portrait US map? No, absolutely. If US is wide like this, US map. So it's good to use the landscape layout for US. You have to make those decisions for yourselves. Choose colors and symbols. Also, sometimes you can make something reasonable colors when used. For example, if you like to show fire hazard or area of fire sensitive area, maybe it's good to use red coloring. It's easy. That's neat. But for example, if you use forest, It's good to use green color for forest. Yeah, you can also use the yellow or any color, but it's meaningful when you choose the right color or the right symbol. And just after that, we create a map. Okay. Okay, question to consider when you do a map. What are the questions now we need to consider? For example, who will be using the map? Okay. Under what circumstances will the map be used? Under what situation and what circumstance will the map? Is the map likely to be copied or faxed? Because if you need to send a fax and the map, so if you color like yellow color or, I mean, it doesn't show up. So that's not good. Maybe instead of if you want to send fax, maybe you need to use some patterns instead of coloring. So you need to, under what circumstances, okay, we said that who will be using the map. I said, who is just presenting for the government, presenting for your display in the wall. You have to do this one. Under what circumstances will the map be used? No, that's for decision making. For example, people need that for making decisions. You know, you need to understand for whom you are building. You cannot just create a map for nothing. You need to have the purpose, the advantage, the objective of using the map. So you have to do that. Under what circumstances will the map be used? Is the map likely to be copied or faxed? You have to decide. You have to consider what are questions to consider. What objective should the map achieve? You need to have to determine that one. For what? What's my more objective? That you have to convince maybe the government to get money for proposal. You know, you have to have some objective that or report, for example. You are doing a report, so you do a report of the project. Huh? For conference, it can be for a conference, because for conference, you need to show your work for a large audience. So you need to make in a way that your map is so attractive and informative, not only just, so your map should have a kind of very attractive way of showing the information for the people without speaking. Huh? In the web, it can be for the web, because your map should tell. Your map is like a book. It can tell without any person to explain about your map. Your map usually should be independent. Even anybody, without knowing who did that map, I should get the map. I should have more information from the map, because that's why that's why we need the technique, we need the knowledge how to do the map. Because the map should speak like I'm speaking now. If I produce one map, if somebody get my map, that guy, without having me, should have all the information what I presented there. That's why we do that presentation of GIS data here. Because GIS map has its own technique, its own principles, you know, how to put symbols, how to put legend. So I have symbol here, I have legend here, I have the scale of the map here on the map. So I have all information. So the reader can come. If it's not, you don't need to be GIS expert. Any person. The map you produce should be used by any ordinary person, not educated. Somebody should read your map and be able to understand what's going on. Because there's a map here, there's a legend here, there's a scale here, and everything. So, okay, here, okay, there's land use, I come here. There is a soil type, I can come in. So your map should be informative. That's why. What objective should I have the map achieve? How sensitive is the map information? How sensitive? Because sometimes you cannot put in your map that this is a Mexico military base. You know, Even if you have information, you should be really careful because you cannot disclose some security-related information in your map. Okay. So you have to be sensitive on the data. What type of data you are allowed to put in your map? So you have to know that how sensitive is the map information. That's very important. Choosing layers, like which layer is important? How can you ensure legibility here? Which layer are more important now? This one or this one? Right one, because here you have everything, but you know the kind of color choice doesn't show. Because usually when you put that, you kind of have to check what's the color of your base map. Look, so this one I can clearly see some of the spots. I can see the river here. You know, so you can create this type of layout. Planning the layout. Look, it's a good example. I mentioned that this US map. Look, is US map is like this or this like this? That's like this because naturally US map is just it's wide from west to east. And it's not like this. You know, maybe I don't know the map of Mexico. Maybe put it this way because Mexico map is not Mexico is from.
I think for Mexico is also better.
It's wide like that. Well, yeah. Yeah. Maybe to Italy. For Italy, for example, just let's put this way. Italy is like this. That's why we have to just think of the layout. That's what we have to think of the layout. Basic principle for balance. Maximize the size of the map related titles. Legend. It's some map, for example, the title, maybe the title or the legend is bigger than the map. No, your map should see first, but somebody, okay, if somebody needs to know more information, there might be somewhere the legend or the title. But map is a map. The objective of map is a map, not the what you write over it. The map should speak by itself, you know. So you have to maximize the size of the map relative to titles and legends. Distribute elements evenly on the page, avoiding blank or cluttered areas. Okay, you can align straight edges and use neatness to enclose map elements. So as much as possible, your map should be more as clean enough to show. It shouldn't doesn't create confusion because map doesn't need somebody to explain it. You know? You don't need to explain your map for somebody. The map by itself should explain. You know, it should be independent. That's what I like to say. Choosing symbols. Choosing symbols. Natural earth tones usually look better than stringent colors. Natural colors. That's good. You know, use pastels for most of map. Use bold colors sparingly for emphasis. For example, some bold colors to get more emphasis. Take advantage of the psychological aspect of different colors and symbols. I say, for example, psychological aspect. If I like to tell about fire, better show or some danger. Red is good. You know? And also just if it's for like for fire or danger here, just white. You know, psychology doesn't know psychology. For if you put red, oh yeah, that's bad area, you know. So it's good, you know. So take advantage of psychological aspect of different colors and symbols. Understand the phenomena, like such as using blue to represent water. Yeah. I mean, we all know that. You know, we see water in blue. You know, if you put water in pink. You know, so psychologically, you know, we are used to see that. We humans, we see, like we born to see the sky, for example. The sky is just this is blue. You know, so that's why the water usually have blue color because of the reflection of the sky. Yeah? Okay. Exactly. And the street you can use, because rivers, yes, you can use for rivers, blue, but for road, it doesn't give sense. So make ramps easy to understand, apply emphasis with color, size, and thickness. For example, symbol psychology. Where is there is less rain? Yeah. Because maybe the red one, maybe it shows that there's dry area, something like that. This one, I would say that's wet. Because dry, red, kind of more, this type of color shows a dry area. So this one, maybe I can see that wet area, so it has less or more rain here. Which towns have more people? You can see with the size of the size. Where is the water? Where is the water in this one? You can see. Where is there? What is here, for example? Simply looking here, without telling you what looking at this map, what can you tell me?
The crosses are the hospital.
Mm-hmm. This one, what to show you? Right. What show you the red one? This one. Yeah. Maybe. Can you see? Come and see. This one. What can you guess? This one you say that of course it can be hospital, it can be health clinic or anything.
Supermarket, something else. No.
But the schools. Because every school has flag like this. I don't know, it's not common here, but in the US, every school has a flag. Flag in the schools?
Oh, there is a flag, but no in the.
But in my country, even that every school has a flag. What is the danger here? You can't tell me. The red is. You can see that there is hazard here, the danger here. This is human psychology. Okay? Symbol thickness, for example. Vibrating more pattern of obscure roads, for example. This doesn't show the road very well. You see thorough lines to indicate urban areas. So even when you saw lines, you have to be in a way that it doesn't. Like this one, it's confusion. Yeah, too much. It's better here at least I can see the road. Choosing symbols, which one looks more aesthetic here? This one. Which one is easier to understand? Which one shows the road better? Tell me, which one shows the road better? I think the right one is because that was too much color that's there. Easy, so that this can be relatively you can see because this one too much dominant. That's right. Improving a world map, more fastest, natural color, use ramp to indicate decreasing population, for example. Emphasis importance information when you need to show more information that can give some more spatial color for that area. Pay attention to details, for example. When to legend, for example, crowded, this one unclear name, or abbreviation, we don't know about this one. Full formatting, for example. It's not easy, So,
I want to ask, for example, if you have several layers and you want to emphasize maybe population information, also, I don't know if there is a combination, but maybe if there is a more in a city and you want everything on the legend,
you can, but
you can.
yeah, because you can pull it, but there must be, you can try to be more creative. To show, like this one. I mean, you can do like that, but it's not nice. You can be more creative, you know. Yeah, okay, legend, US cities. Okay. 1990 population, instead of 1990. You know, kind of put population range like this in thousands, you know. So, you know, that gives more clarity for the reader. Black and white maps, for example, special principles apply to maps that are black, white, or will be copied or faxed. So it's a best design in black and white rather than assuming it will copy to all white. By the way, if your purpose is the map is to send by fax or by scanning, that black and white map is there. Because instead of color, you can use different patterns, like lines or dots, you know, different patterns, so that it's easy. Whether you faxed it or you printed in black and white printer, anybody can understand. But if you do it only with color, so when you print it out or when you send it by fax, you cannot easily transfer your information. So use different patterns instead of colors. That's what I say. Black and white map may not be able to show as much, but color balance will still apply. Use mostly light patterns, emphasize smaller regions with dark ones. So look, you can use this pattern. If you do the map here instead of color, even if you fax it, you copy, or you scan it, or you print it in black and white printer, you can easily understand the map. That's great. For example, color, geologic map for color print. Can I print this one in black and white? The same map, look this one, geologic map for black and white print. You can understand. Don't you? This is how you use different patterns. That's good. Yes, a different kind of pattern. So I can show clearly this one. Then some publication. Did you publish some papers from your PhD?
Yes, my thesis, but I can print in color.
No, did you print publish in your journal?
A book.
Oh, okay.
So,
But in journal, usually sometimes there, for example, in pattern, because yeah. But nowadays, in fact, you publish online. It doesn't matter if you can collaborate. In print, in previous time, you can have printed copy. In that case, it's better to produce your map using the pattern. Oh, no. But it's important because coordinate systems, it's big, by the way. Next time, I'm thinking of coming March or April. So we can have more days, maybe. And we can learn all these things. Coordinate system, that's a basic in coordinate system because it's because you have to understand the concept of how do you convert from one coordinate system to another coordinate. Especially if you, like for me, I must know because in modeling, I get data from different sources. So whenever I put those maps in the model, they should have the same coordinate system. So the different maps are stored in different coordinate systems. So you have to change all this into a common coordinate system. Same. So that's a lot of challenge.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a good concept you have to understand as GIS expert. So projection data frame coordinate system, like for example, this is like project coordinate system for orange, instead of white numbers. Data, this is in UTM. Data in geographic coordinate system. Data in plane. There are different ways of coordinate system. So either in UTM, you know, UTM.
Yeah.
Universal, something. GCS, geographic coordinate system. Type of coordinate system, unprojected. And projected means geographic coordinate system. The geographic coordinate system, which is mainly what? Based on spherical coordinate. It always tells you what degrees of latitude and longitude. You know, latitude and longitude expressed in degree. Yeah. Projected coordinate system, I always mentioned before this one. Convert spherical coordinate to planar. That's the geographic coordinate system. You see a globe as a sphere. Right? That's why you express in latitude and longitude and the fashion of spherical form. So, but when we project, what are we doing? We are just seeing your data in a planar sphere. Okay, so convert spherical coordinate to planar. Assume that we are seeing the system, set of mathematical equations to convert it. Project 3D coordinate to 3D map. That's that one. Because this more of this geographic coordinate system tells you as a 3D because you see the world as a sphere. Okay. But the other one, when you change to planar for a project coordinate system, we just translate our spherical representation of the world into planar system as a 2D representation, 2D X and Y direction. Okay. That's more of this one. Geographic coordinate system measures in angular degrees. Length of that longitude degrees varies with latitude. You know. Introduce distortion. Sometimes when you portray in a plane as a GIS, they are not suitable for mapping actually. They are not suitable for mapping. They are only suitable for what? Storage. Storage of GIS data. Most of the data in different databases are stored as geographic coordinate system. Avoiding GIS, geographic coordinate system when mapping, like a map using geographic coordinate system looks like this. LOS uses projected coordinate system for mapping. Can you see the difference? That you can see some kind of distortion. Okay. Type of projections can be cylindrical, can be conic, it can be azimuthal. That's more technical. I don't want to tell you about. Distortion, all map projection introduce distortion. So the type and degree of distortion varies with map projection. When using a projection, we have to take care because one is suitable for. So this one like areas and distance, shape and direction. So some projection systems are good in maintaining the area or distance, and some of the coordinate systems is good. To show you the shape, and some of coordinate systems they are good in showing the direction of the geographic feature. Small scale maps, distortion is inevitable. So we have to choose equidistance map when distance are important, for example. Use equal area map when areas are important. Use compromise projection for general purpose map. So this is the kind of coordinate system name generally indicate the local and purpose it is optimized for, used for use. Like for example, North America harbors equal area coding. Because there are different, did I say? Because there are some projection systems good for area, for distance, shape, and direction. So that's why that some for equidistant maps when distance are important, equal area maps when areas are important, and conformal or compromise projections are good for what? For general purpose. Large scale map for local, city, county map, small state, choose appropriate UTM or state plane zone. UTM. So it's minimize distortion over a specific zone. It also used only for areas within the zone. Okay. For large scale map, I say. So UTM means universal transverse mercanter. It's based on transverse mercanter, cylindrical projections. It divides the world into 6 seasons and 6 degrees wide. This is for UTM. Divided in 6 seasons. That's why you propose like maybe Mexico City 60 meters to, you know, it's divided all areas into zones. You know? So this is like zone 60 that crosses here in Mexico to USA. The searching is minimal within each zone. Maps of different areas use base zone, and it is based on maps covering small area in one zone when you use UTM. Okay. A set plane system is more common for US. It's divided into 1 or more zones identified by a unit. It's a number. Use several types of projection and so on. This is the state plane system. Usually, when we do in the US, we use, but because each state has a unique state plane system. This for now we're talking about problems, but that's why the reason why I put these into the map, because when you create the map, nobody cares about projection. That is the key to create a better, good map that shows the correct feature of your land. Unless, have you seen some distorted map? Have you seen distorted map in the report? Some map like this? Even if there are good colors, but it's distorted. I've seen several maps. But that's the main reason is that because, hey, all of you mean. So that is mainly the main reason because of poor coordinate system. So that's why. So people that don't care about that, they just care color. They care about the color system, the symbols, the legend, and so. But simple example, I say. Simple example. Where is the one I showed you? Torsion creates the coordinate system create the way how it shows your map. So as I see this one, the graphical grips, for example, it is when you do a map, usually you have to show your northing. What's the direction, how it looks your map. Somebody need to have reference. For example, always we put that northing map. That northing, yeah. This part is important. But that's how you show to the public. It's a reference that I'm telling to the reader that my map is looking from a certain direction. So always when you do a map, whether you do regional map or city maps, so you have to visualize that because putting the right northing depends upon the right coordinate system you use. If you use the right coordinate system, when there's a button click, it tells you the right direction of the map. So northing is important. How the reader doesn't know where you are, but when somebody that doesn't know about Mexico or US, reading the map, you see that this is south and south. So other type of mapping grids, measured Greek, UTM meters, reference Greek. I don't go into detail much. Map units is very important because map units depend upon the coordinate system. Because if you develop a map using nothing long, what's the map unit there? In degrees. But when you use UTM is usually in meter. And when you use a state plane system, it's in feet. So the coordinate system also determines the map unit you display on the scale. Okay? So it depends on the coordinate system tells the map unit. So usually you see that this type of unit, like this is in UTM. Since GIS, it tells you the unit here, down at the bottom of the south. So in degrees, in meters, or it tells you in feet sometimes. Unit terminology, map units are determined by the data frame coordinate system, as I said. Your unit depends upon the coordinate system you use. Display unit, it can be set by the user or automatically depending upon your coordinate system, the model or the GIS create display that unit system. Yeah, that's it. Also, when you do like scaling, Also, you can also display the map unit and the display unit. The map, sometimes, usually it's good to have the display unit and the map unit in common unit system. Can measure metric, like meter, feet, or degrees and so on. So you can set also the display unit. You can go to the data frame properties. I'll show you tomorrow. You can go to data properties. You can go and change all these units and so on. Yeah. That's all. No, we'll see a little bit of what we are talking about. Maybe each of you maybe give an assignment. Maybe we use a normal layer, create a good map. Question? Is there a question you ask them? Give them the chance now. People in the live. They have questions. There are other 10 people that are attending. If they have. If they say something, it's fine or okay. Let them say something. No question? That's fine. Thank you, guys. It's nice first day of lecture. Tomorrow also we do. Filling up on the time. As I said, it's very introductory. And in the future, I need to have one full lecture for the coordinate system. That's very important. And also other special analysis and others. This is the kind of, because the one we see, there are 10 participants, we have a different background. So this lecture is mainly just to have a kind of common understanding for all of us. Because like some of you have good JS, some of us don't have, so that this introductory JS will help us to bring to a certain level. And I'll see you tomorrow.